Auburn is about to run the piss out of the ball. All right, what's going on, y'all, man? Welcome back to the channel, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in, man. We're talking Auburn Tigers today, man, and we're talking about the offensive strategy that Alex Golesh outlined when he went to SEC Media Days. All right, so we're going to talk about that here on the show, man. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hype up the video, man, and tune in for more coverage, man. But let's go ahead and start with the quote that he said first and foremost, all right? This is what Alex Golesh had to basically say at SEC Media Days. He says, we're going to run the piss out of the football, right? Not hiding the identity of this team and what it's going to be, and basically saying, yeah, that it's pretty simple what we're going to do. And for those fans that say, well, Naj, I'm a little bit nervous, right? I feel like I don't like that philosophy. But when we go back and we look at some of the Auburn teams of, what they did well was run the football, right? You go back and look at that 2010 era with Cam Newton. Yeah, he was throwing the football, but he also was running the heck out of that ball too, right? So they already got 1,000-yard rusher in Byron Brown. We did a whole video on him, and I told Auburn fans not to fret or worry about him. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be good. The big difference, though, with Auburn is this. They have not had a running back room like this in quite a long time, right? And obviously, it's going to start in the trenches, and their trench work is going to have to be much improved and better, right, this year. But we know defensive line-wise are going to be pretty good. But when it comes to the trenches, they got to open up the holes for these running backs, right? They got to allow them to be able to do what they do. But this team starts and stops with this running back right here, and his name is Jeremiah Cobb. Now, Cobb was highly productive last season for the Auburn Tigers, 969 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns on 5.5 yards per carry a season ago, right? Had a very, very, very productive year for the Auburn Tigers, right? And he's going to be the presumptive starter. And like I said, as you guys can see, a career year coming over and having obviously a big time effect this year for Auburn. Now, we know some of his best games came later on in the season. Missouri went off for 111 yards. Vanderbilt went off for 115 yards, right? And the reason I bring that up is they're going to need to have not necessarily a bell cow, but somebody that can lean on in certain situations in order to run that rock, right? And Cobb comes in as a guy that can do that for them, right? But the key this year is he's going to be able to maintain fresh, right? He had 175 carries. What they have coming in now is going to be very potent, right? And what they have coming in is a running back room that has 4 guys that were starters, right? And what I love about it is all these guys can go, right? So you look at Amar Mapson. He was a starter for Troy last season and had a big time role and impact, obviously, for the Trojans. He's going to come back and be a big part of this running back room for the Auburn Tigers, right? And then you look at Tay Meadows is another guy, that's going to be able to start this year for them and is going to help out. Actually, I messed up. Tay Meadows started for Troy. Amar Mapson comes out as a second year back for Auburn Tigers, right? So Meadows is the guy that started for Troy and had a big time impact. So to me, you already brought back 2 running backs in Jeremiah Cobb and Amar Mapson, but then you brought in Tay Meadows from Troy, who's going to have a big time impact this year for you as well. And then the name that's not going to talk about enough, that's a sleeper, in my humble opinion, is Nakai Davenport. Right? Nakai Davenport is a guy that played at Roswell High School in Georgia, went to USF, was a starter last year for them, and had a pretty big role and knows the system and offense, right? He's played with Byron Brown, right? He's played under the Alex Golesh system and scheme. So he's going to already know what to do and be able to fit into this like a sleeve. So to me, one of the best positions on this team is going to be running back. You don't have a lot of questions because you can deploy 4 different running backs who had starter experience, right? And Mapson and Meadows and Jeremiah Cobb and obviously Nakai Davenport. All these guys are going to be able to complement each other very well in this backfield. Some can catch it out of the backfield. Some can run it between the tackles. Some can bounce it to the outside and do the things that they need to do this year in order to make that impact. And to me, it helps because it keeps Jeremiah Cobb fresh. You're going to need him fresh throughout the season of a grueling 9-game SEC slate for the Auburn Tigers, right? So when I look at it and I break it all down, I look at a room that for Golesh, he can go to anybody and while this chemistry starts to get worked out between Byron Brown and some of these receivers on the outside, you're going to have to lean on that running game to kind of loosen some things up. Right now, eventually, the wide receivers are going to have to win because like they're going to start stacking that box once they find out what Cobb and Meadows and Mapson and Davenport can do. They're going to start stacking that box. They're going to start putting 8 or 9 in that box in order to slow that down. But this running game, if it's good this season, can open different things up and take the pressure off of Brown. Now, the one thing that's going to be interesting is Brown can run the football at a high level, right? 1,000-yard runner last season and 2,000+ yards passing. So with him coming in there, he takes a little bit of that pressure off the shoulders of the running back room because he can run the RPO system, make him choose and dictate what it's going to be. And when they stack the box, he's going to have options, the RPO options, right? So let's say they stack the box with 8 or 9 guys and he got to get out quick. He can dump it off to a tight end, right? Or he can dump it off to a receiver out there on the flat, right? And do what he needs to do. So that kind of puts the defense in a quandary a little bit of how do we defend this team when their running back or the quarterback can run just as good as the running backs. And he also, as we seen with the film when we broke it down, he can lay his shoulder and be physical with you too and hit you in the mouth. Right? So for me, those are that concern that say we're going to run the piss out of the ball. It just tells me Golesh is establishing the identity of this team. Right? And in the last few seasons, they've struggled in the different eras with Hugh Freeze and guys because they try to have the quarterbacks throw the ball too much. Right? So now when you bring in Brown, who's obviously very capable of throwing the football, you take the pressure off of the veteran quarterback because you're going to have a run game established, an identity established, and then you predicate and placate off that and throw those deep passes down the field and use play action and all that good stuff, right? I think that makes a big difference for Auburn this year because, one, they finally got the quarterback situation figured out, but two, the strength of this team is going to be running the football, right? So then from that point, Brown ain't going to have to do all this, throw the ball up for grabs or have to press because he's throwing the ball 35, 40+ times. He might throw it 25 to 30 times, in this Auburn offense, and they lean on the running game with Cobb and Meadows and Davenport and Mapson. I love that this is going to be the identity of this team. And while someone's like, I don't like run-heavy teams, that's always been when Auburn's been good. They've had great running games, right? And they've been able to use that for play action and big plays down the field. So I think it's just right for this team. I think it's going to help them out tremendously. And I think having this running back room as a strength is going to be very, very important in 2026. So him establishing we're going to run the piss out of the football just tells me that's what it's going to be this year. And this is a group that is looking to be very physical, right? That's the biggest thing I take away from this. They want to be physical. They want to have an identity, and they want to stick to it all season long. So when you look at they lost the last 6 or 7 Iron Bowls in order to beat Alabama, right? You're going to have to be able to run that football. You're going to have to make it do what it do and create pressure on them, right? Because the defense is going to do it. This defense is very good. We went through the whole defense yesterday or a few days ago about Auburn. Defense is going to be good, but this offense has to help them out. They can't just score 14 and 17 points. They got to start getting in the 20 range. In order to do that, they're going to have to be much better. It's just that simple, right? But I think the running back room is going to help that. So there you have it, y'all. That's my honest thoughts, my opinion. I think the running back room is going to help them out a lot. And I don't mind what Alex Golesh had to say about them running the piss out of the football because you're going to need that in order to take the pressure off the quarterback and establish that play action, those big plays down the field. Right? So I love the identity. But comment down below your thoughts on what Alex Golesh had to say. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video. Again, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hype the video, and turn on those bell notifications, man. I'll see you guys in the next video. And remember, as always, peace and love.